All right, we are live. Thanks for joining us, everybody. So we are kicking off today our Empowering Transformation 2021 Giving Campaign, and today is Giving Tuesday, but this is only the beginning. We're going to be doing this through the end of the year, and my guest is Steve Demme. I guess you don't need your last name as an introduction.
Amen.
So thanks for joining me, Steve. We are talking about different things that we at SPED Homeschool do to help parents who home educate struggling learners. And I'm excited to have Steve on today to help me share with you about our 2022 family camp.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
So we've been talking about this for a long time. Planning, and Steve hooked me up with a lot of people. Why don't we talk about just the basis of so we have partnered with Johnny and Friends, a ministry that reaches out to families with disabilities. And Steve has been involved in their family camps, family retreats for how many years?
This would be 15 years. We went to our first one in 2006.
Wow.
Our fourth son, Johnny, has Down syndrome, and we had been living in the country. And in 2006, we moved up to the city, and we began attending a church that had worked in partnership with Johnny and Friends. And I learned about the camp, and one of the pastors connected me with Johnny and Friends, and he said, "You need to talk to these people." So I went over and I met them. It turns out they have the Pennsylvania office right in our town. So
Awesome.
I was interviewed, and the next thing you know, my family, which was Sandy and my son Johnny, who was 18 at the time, and myself, we have 3 other boys, but the 3 of us went up to Spruce Lake Retreat Center up in Northeast Pennsylvania, and all were nervous. Let me say that again. We were all nervous because I had never been around, this is going to shock you, families with disability. We homeschooled Johnny. We lived in the country. Our church was supportive, and in homeschooling all of our families, we just included Johnny in our life. And I had known of Johnny Erickson Tata, but I didn't know that there was a ministry in our town. But when we moved up to the city, got connected, we went to this camp. So I was nervous because I just been with my son. I didn't know about the whole world of disability. And my son Johnny, I don't think he knew he had a disability. I'm not sure he knows now. But somebody walked up to him who had Down syndrome themselves, and they just touched him on the shoulder, and he took off. He'd never done that before. So we were nervous. Johnny was nervous. But by the end of the camp, our lives have been changed. I got to meet people over a week setting. Now, see if I can explain. You mind if I keep talking?
Oh, no. Yeah, okay. Keep sharing the concept of the camp, because it's very similar to the camp that we're going to be doing because we're partnering with Johnny and Friends.
Well, so I was asked to be the camp pastor, and so I had to go a day earlier than Sandy and Johnny. And during the training, I learned things like if somebody's in a wheelchair, that's part of their space. And so I shouldn't walk up to them and lean on their chair or put my foot on the, like the place where their feet go and stuff. I didn't know that. I also am 6'5", so I knew that it's hard to talk to me. Even if you're standing, you're going to get neck problems. So I stepped back, and sometimes I kneel down so I have eye contact. I learned a whole bunch of stuff that I had never known. And let me just add one biggest piece to me. Even if I knew these things and had a heart for people with disability, generally I only encounter folks like that at church or a homeschool convention for a minute, 20 seconds, 2 minutes. So when I got to the camp, the first day, I was aware of wheelchairs, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, autism. All of a sudden, I was inundated with stuff. I saw the disabilities, but by day, I'm going to say 2 or 3, I started seeing the people behind the disability, if I can put it that way. I got to know the people and their personality, their strengths, their foibles, their humanity. And
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't see the stuff, I saw them.
Yeah.
And of course, I feel the same way about church men's retreats. I don't get
Right.
to know people in the lobby, but when I spend
You
a weekend with
don't.
a guy, I get to know them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So by the end of that week, not only had I got to know the people with disability, I got to meet their families, and I got to go to
Mm.
men's meetings, and most of us are, how can I put it? We're like little islands. We learn
Mm.
how to get along, but we have our little shields up, and we have our little filters and all kinds of stuff because
Yeah.
we are in our own little disability world. But when you go to camp, you find out that everybody is in the same world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
and it takes a while to let your armor down, but again, by about day or two or three, you started feeling, wow, these people understand me and I understand them. And this may be the only place where I feel totally at home.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a really special time. And so let's say that you're in a meeting at home and your son starts making noises, or he wants to do this, or he does,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately your armor goes up and you try to, all this stuff. But when you're up there, hey, make all the noise you want.
Right.
Totally get what you're doing. And
Exactly.
it's very special, and it's really hard to put into words, but
Mm-hmm.
it's and probably the highlight to me was the talent show. The talent show
Yes. It's always the
again,
last night, right?
yep. And by
Mm-hmm.
then you get to celebrate disability, not just endure it or learn how to
Mm-hmm.
function in it, but there's a spirit of celebration that I think it's part of Johnny Erickson Tata's spirit
Yeah.
that imbues camps, that she has been in a chair now for over a half of a century.
It's
And
amazing.
yet she still rejoices and she sings hymns and she's uplifting. She lives
Mm-hmm.
with pain. She's battled COVID. She's battled cancer. And
Mm-hmm.
she's still, and to me, if I ever had to do her funeral service, I would talk about the joy of the Lord is her strength, because
Yeah.
it's supernatural how God has helped her keep going. But
Mm-hmm.
there's that spirit of celebration in her life that I think has been, I don't know, passed on to the camps.
Right.
And the
Mm-hmm.
very first one was the one I attended. I'm pretty sure we're pushing 30 years now, but the very
Mm.
first one was in the Poconos, and now there are 57, as I understand it, all over the country and over the world.
And they have ones across the world, yes.
Yeah,
And ours will be the very first homeschool camp.
great.
So our focus will be with Johnny and friends with the disabilities and families, everything that Steve talked about, that community, training volunteers. We're going to need 70 volunteers just to run this camp, and it'll be in Minnesota. So if you want to become more like Steve was talking about, I mean, if you're not in that environment, if you haven't been around a lot of people with disabilities, it seems kind of awkward, but we will train you, and you will find so much joy that you can't find anywhere else in the world because of how these camps are set up. And I got to experience one this last summer as just kind of my introduction and to the Johnny and Friends world, and it was amazing. And I just can't wait to lead this camp. I actually will be leading it. Steve will be there as well, and we're gonna add a lot of family fun. We're gonna add some homeschool twists. Lots of activities. We'll actually even have trail rides that your camper can get on. Even if they have a disability, they can lift them onto the horse. We're going to do chuck wagon dinner out in the woods. There's
Oh,
lots and lots of fun things at this camp. It's at Ironwood Springs, just outside of Rochester, Minnesota. And so we have a lot of things planned, but there's a lot that goes into these camps too, and so there's cost, and we are raising money as part of this this year-end campaign. If you want to sponsor a family member, or if you want to sponsor an entire family, you can go to our giving campaign page, which is, if you go to our homepage at spedhomeschool.com and click join the movement, you'll see some information on there about how you can donate, how you could volunteer maybe at this camp. Also, you can text to give money that would go towards that. I also know that we're going to be partnering with MSHE, which is the Minnesota Association of Christian Home Educators. They are the home state for this camp. And they are raising money today as part of their Giving Tuesday campaign to give every child that comes to this camp a backpack with some really special gifts inside. So I wanted to encourage you to check out their giving campaign as well to help fund that. But yeah, it's going to take 70 volunteers. We want one-on-one buddies for every child, so parents can actually get respite and kids can kind of explore and be on their own, and so that's a special treat. We want to create community, and I think, Steve, you talked a lot about that. The men's meetings, the women's meetings, that sense of community we don't get when we're online. We don't even get when we have an hour-long meeting. But when you live with people for a week, and the amazing thing about this camp is they have one lodge and 20 family suites inside this lodge. So during the day when your kids are at activities or other things, parents, maybe your kids go to bed, you can actually sit and talk to other parents and have that time to connect meaningfully with one another.
hey Peggy, how do I share a picture on this thingy?
Okay, so if you go down to share, there's a little button on the bottom with a little
Yep.
plus sign, and then you pick on what you want it to share, whether it's a tab or something, then you can share from there.
So it says from my computer, right?
Yep. So that may bring up whatever you're looking at on your screen.
Okay. Or I could just share the whole screen, it says.
Yes, you can.
You mind?
You can do that.
Okay, I think you're really going to like these pictures.
Okay.
Okay. How do I do this? Share. Am I sharing the screen now?
I think I have to click stop sharing on my side. Why don't you try it again?
Okay. Share screen. Share screen. Entire screen.
We're doing this a little impromptu.
Okay. So how about now? Can you see my screen?
Nope, I cannot.
Oh dear.
Bummer.
Because I've got some pictures of one of the first camps that we attended. Let me try this one more time.
So if you go to share screen, and then you pick the one, and then you have to click share on the bottom after you click.
Okay, so I'm just saying share entire screen.
Okay, and then click the little share button at the bottom once you do that.
I thought I did that, and it's not.
No, it's not showing up on my end.
Maybe I can do a different one, but I'll just do window. How about that?
Yeah. Also, I just want to let you all know while Steve's looking for this, that if you go to our campaign page, you can't find it? It's not
No,
coming up.
I'll just describe the picture. So
Okay, yeah.
I have a picture of Johnny with his volunteer. We used to call them STM, short-term missionary.
Short-term missionaries. Yep, that's what they're still called. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Johnny. Oh, what are all these pictures coming up?
No, that's all mine. I
Okay.
set mine back up again. Yep.
Okay. So I have a picture of Johnny. Now we've been, going there for over a decade, and we've had different volunteers. And one of his volunteers he had for 4 years in a row.
Wow.
His name was Dawson. And I have a picture of Johnny spotting Dawson across the camp, running up and jumping into his arms. And
Oh.
yeah, because he just loved Dawson and Dawson loved him. And it was awesome. But that's the kind of a relationship that builds. And of course,
right.
How can I put this? I'm not cool. This is the way that the STMs worked at our camp is that Sandy and I stay with Johnny. We're in the same room.
Mm-hmm.
But when we get up, we go towards breakfast and we meet Dawson. And Dawson takes Johnny to breakfast, takes him to his activities, takes him to lunch, and we're there. So if we're needed, we can be tapped into
right.
and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the afternoon, we give Dawson a little break so he can take a nap or hang out with his buddies. But then Dawson meets them again for dinner, and then evening activities and hay rides, whatever it is. And who would you rather hang out with? Your old man or this cool young person? And
right. Yeah.
So Johnny really looked forward to meeting his STM every year. And then we had Brent after Dawson got older and got married. And so, yeah, but it's pretty special, the relationship. And oftentimes these STMs, that's their first experience with disability for several days as well. Mm-hmm. Many of them end up going into professions where they help people. They become occupational therapists, they become physical therapists. And I've watched them grow during the week. And we have these things called camp allergies, though. I don't know if you know about this, but the camp allergy usually happens the last day during lunchtime when all of a sudden people start getting these allergies and the tears start to go because you have to say goodbye to the camp and the people that you met and your volunteer. And But lifelong friends are made and a community is made. And that's probably the biggest thing that came to us is, sadly, over the years, some of the people that have come to camp have passed on. And I remember driving to Albany, a several-hour drive, different state, because I wanted to go to Chris's funeral. And when I got there, a significant portion of the audience was people from camp. Wow. And even though we're only together for one part of a week, not even a full 7 days.
Monday through Friday. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you're there during the camp, but you just become tight. And now through Facebook, you can keep in touch, and through SPED, the communities, and you become a community, and you're there to support each other. And I pray for a lot of people from camp to this day that we met that very first year, and they've become lifelong friends. So.
That's amazing. Yes. Yeah. And that's really what we want for our community. It's one thing to have an online community, but to have those lifelong friendships, those relationships, and to help others experience what, like these STMs, these short-term missionaries that work with the kids to train the next generation for how to live with disability and to embrace it. That is so important. And so looking at our volunteers, the young people that will be training, there's just so many facets. And just so you all know, this is our pilot camp with Johnny and Friends. I'm going to share just my screen a little bit, and then the Minnesota retreat. If you go to the Johnny and Friends website, we are considered Minnesota Family Retreat Week 3. And you'll see our logo is right there. If you go to our giving page, I'll show you the link as to how you can get to this page easily. but it talks about everything here as well as the cost and the location. But if you go to our giving page, which you can easily access by going to our homepage and just click join the movement, you can go down, talks a little bit about how you can give to our campaign, and you can text to give, you can give on our Facebook fundraiser. I do suggest you don't go through donate though, because we do have a thank you gift, which is a SPED Homeschool to do and do not list for the holidays that you get with every donation made on this site. But you can sponsor a family member for $500, or an entire family of 4 for $2,000 to go to camp. And if you go down, this is the impact we've had this last year, but this is our vision for next year, and you'll see SPED Homeschool Family Retreat. If you click on that, that will take you to the website where the Johnny and Friends Retreat is listed. And registration is going to open starting the end of February. And so we're just kind of getting the word out right now. A lot of these camps fill up very quickly. So we'll be sharing some more information about that as the time comes. But yeah.
Well, Peggy, thank you for taking the initiative. I'm happy to partner with you. And
yeah,
I'm pretty much going to guarantee that if you come to camp, you're going to say, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I led the men's ministry, and I'm hoping to do some work with the men at this camp. But
yes.
I've watched men kind of let down their guard a little bit and start connecting. And then you start networking, too. It's pretty interesting because, the men, they don't know much about disability either. Frankly, the moms are the ones that usually carry the ball. But the men, I remember we were just talking about wheelchairs. What an eye-opener. I had no idea, who's the best place to get a wheelchair,
right?
Different states, how they support, buying one or getting one.
Yeah.
How you have to upgrade them when your child grows. And there's a whole lot to it. And I just sat there. But these men that they live with chairs, and they, where do you buy the best vehicle? And is there funding or grant? There's just so much to it. But the main thing I saw men connecting with other men. And, of course, that's one of the things that makes me tick is I want to connect men with each other because we need each other just as much as anybody else. We need fellowship. That's what it's called, fellowship.
Yes, exactly. Yes. We have more homeschool dads now coming on our website and looking for our resources than ever before. So yes, there's a need for those dads just as much as the moms, and we see that.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much, Steve. Thanks for planting this seed. Yes?
I almost forgot. It's not only young people that serve as volunteers. There's a whole bunch of adults that volunteer.
Yes.
And especially men. We need men. So if you're a teacher and you got the summer off, or if you're retired, especially for guys like my son. Now, my son's 34 years old now. If he goes to a camp, it's better for him sometimes to have an older gentleman. And we have some people that have been coming to the camp for 20 years that have had the same camper. They've grown with them, and they become friends even after camp. And so, and I the first family that I met there, their whole family takes vacation. I couldn't get my mind around this. They pay to go, and the dad does this, and the mom leads this, and the kids are this, and everybody had a function at the camp. So that's really servant-hearted Christianity, feet to the ground faith that's very powerful and special to me.
Yes, because all of the volunteers that come, they actually pay their way to go. We're raising some funds for a few volunteers, but and we've gotten a grant from the Homeschool Legal Defense Association to pay for the main volunteers will be running some of the program on the side with me. But 70 volunteers. We have to feed and house them too. So it costs a lot of money to run this camp. But the end result will be so worth it. And this is, like I said, is our pilot camp. Our prayer is, and so is for Johnny and friends, is that this will then launch camps into other states after 2022. So we have a big vision for that. So, well, thanks for your time, Steve. This has been great.
Thank you, Peggy, for all you do.
Oh, thank you. And thanks for all the support that you have. So Steve not only is talking about camps, but he is also the chairman of the board for SPED Homeschool. And we're going to be talking more about the board in, let's see, at 11:15. So in about 15 minutes, I'm popping on with Dr. Jan Vidal, who is also on the board of directors with SPED Homeschool, to talk a little bit about what the board does as well. So I'll see you all then. Thanks again, Steve. And we'll continue this day of empowering transformation and kicking off this campaign. Bye, everyone.